Hello, my lovely friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth, and I'm so glad you stopped by. Sorry, I have to get a drink. So, you may or may not have seen my post where I said that I have to refilm this. So this is not December. This is September the 4th. This is Labor Day. So to all of you watching, happy Labor Day, because I do plan for this to go up. I'm filming it, and then I'm going straight to my mom's to upload it. I had to completely wipe my iPad out, and because that is currently what I'm filming on. So let's go ahead and get this started so I can wrap it up, edit it, and upload it. So the first book that I read and finished in August was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this 4 stars. I had read it before, and I didn't realize it when I started reading the Book of the Month one. This is about, and now it's not a true story, but it's about an actress who was popular in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I believe. And she is deciding to tell her life story to a journalist, and she is asked specifically for this journalist, and nobody knows why, but she will only give this story to this journalist, and she's doing a tell-all. She's obviously been married 7 times, and everybody wants to know why and who was her true love. And so since nobody else is left that she knew back then while she was acting and such, and all her friends and loved ones are passed on, then she feels free to go ahead. The next book I finished was, I have to put it up here. It's called The Cottage on Ghost Lane. I gave this 4 stars. This was recommended to me by my friend Chris. And this is about a man who goes back to this cottage that he and his wife had bought and were remodeling. And she had an accident and died. And now he's grieving, and he goes back to this cottage because he needs to move on. And when he goes into this place, he realizes somebody has been staying there. So thus ensues the mystery, and things are not what they seem. So the next book I finished was Odd Apocalypse. I finished this on the 10th. This was my reread, and this was about Odd and Annabelle. No, is her name Annabelle or Anna Maria? I think it's Anna Maria. And yes, Anna Maria. I don't know why I called her Annabelle. They stop in at Roseland, and the owner of Roseland, the guy who originally bought it and presided over it, was a Hollywood movie producer in the 20s, and Hollywood mogul. And so now the guy that runs it is a financier, and he's a billionaire, reclusive billionaire financier, and his name is I can't remember his name. Anyway, so they stop there because somebody there needs their help and needs to be saved. This is not a library book. I bought this off of Thrift Books. So, I mean, it was a library book, and I love when I get old library books because they have this kind of cover. And people always say, why do you take the dust cover off? when you're reading? Well, because it slips around and it moves around, and so that's why. And up and down and up and down. So anyway, but I just love this series, and even though I finished it, I just love rereading through this because Odd Thomas is such a wonderful and beautiful character, and he's so endearing, and I just love him. And Dean Koontz is a brilliant writer. So the next book I read was on Kindle. I checked it out from my library on Libby, and this was a read that Chantel had with her book club, I think was with her Patreon, and it's The Faithful Spy by John Hendricks, and this is about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and I gave this 4 stars, and this is about his plot to take down Hitler, and he's trying to do everything he can to save the Jewish people and to rid the world of this evil. Oh, I didn't say, but I gave this 5 stars. I mean, of course. So the next one was Agatha Christie's Poirot Investigates. This is just some short stories with Hercule Poirot, and it's the film star and the diamond. There's a suicide that was actually murder, a jewelry robbery by the sea, the abduction of the prime minister. There's just several little short stories in here, and I love Agatha Christie's writing. There's just something about it that makes me feel just so nostalgic, and I just love reading her work, and so it always gets 5 stars for me, and because it just makes me feel so warm and fuzzy, and I just love it. I just love her writing. So this next book has been on my TBR for months and months and months and months, and I couldn't even tell you when I got it. I don't know if it was the book of the month when I got it, but it says June 2021 because it's a book of the month, but I don't know if it was the special that month. But anyway, I finally read it, and let me tell you something. I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing. This is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and I had read previously The Silent Patient, and I don't know why I kept putting this book off, but this book, I guess it's because it's dark academia, and I don't read a lot of dark academia. I don't know why. Everyone I read, I like. I read The Secret History, and I liked it. I loved this one. This is by far my favorite. So this is about Edward Fosca, and he's a professor at, you'll have to forgive me, Cambridge University, and Mariana used to be a student at Cambridge, and her niece is attending Cambridge, and her niece's friend goes missing, and her niece calls her and asks her to please come because she needs her. And Mariana has recently lost her husband, who she says who has been murdered. Who has died. And when I don't know if it says that the friend is okay, yes. So the friend is found murdered, and Edward Fosca has this group of girls that follows him around, and they're called the Maidens, and this friend of her niece's was one of them, and Mariana is convinced that Fosca is the murderer. So, and none of that is a giveaway because it's all in the flap. So, wonderful book. Loved it. So many twists and turns, and I saw part of it come in, but I was not expecting several of the twists. So, absolutely wonderful book. The next one, I read this next book for a book club on Fable, and I just love having the physical books. And this was for Carla Espinosa's book club on Fable, and it was When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is about a pop star who's about to go on tour, and she just needs to get away. She loves Audrey Hepburn. She's questioning her choice in careers, and so she is watching Audrey Hepburn, and she's watching the film where Audrey goes to Rome. So she decides that she's going to go to Rome, but the closest Rome she can, or the only Rome she can go to is Rome, Kentucky. So she ends up, her car breaks down, and she ends up in this pie baker's in his driveway, and his name is Noah Walker, and it's their romance. And it's cute, and I gave it 5 stars. It is so cute, it's so sweet, so wonderful, and it just gives you that warm feeling, warm fuzzies. And so the next one, I gotta turn the pages, guys. You know, I can't have them all on the same page. Next one I read, this was Catherine Center, The Bodyguard, and this was the first Catherine Center that I read. I gave it 4 stars. She is the bodyguard, or the, what's the name for it? Executive protection agent. She has just recently broke up with her boyfriend, and she's grieving the loss of her mother, and so her boss tells her she cannot go on this trip with her ex and do this job. He sends her best friend instead, and then she's put on this case to be the bodyguard to Jack Stapleton, and his mom is sick, and he doesn't want his mom and dad to know that he needs protection, so he asks her to play as his girlfriend. So she does, and it's cute. It's also warm and fuzzy, and just a wonderful read. And I did give it 4 stars. There were a couple things that, you know, just didn't add up for me, but you know, several people love this book, and they rated it 5 stars, and you know, 4 stars, I still love the book, and for me, it's a very generous rating, because 4 and 5 stars are like my top books. But anyway, you'll see this author again in a moment. So anyway, that's that book. The next book I read was another summary read. It was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This was another 4-star read. This is about Persephone. She and her family her parents buy a I guess you'd call it a lodge, or not really a lodge, I don't know if it would be a cabin, or they buy a house, and it's on the lake or the water, and there's a family that lives next door. They're there year round, but Percy and her parents only go during the summer. But there's a boy her age, and they become best friends. That's the very first summer. And then it becomes, once they grow up, it becomes something more than friends. And then one summer, she leaves and doesn't come back until his older brother calls and tells her that their mom had passed away, and would she come to the funeral. And so 4 stars because of why she left, and you'll have to read the book to find out. This book is not for everybody. Neither is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. The next book I read was, my sister messaged me, and we were doing a buddy read in August, and I stopped reading it because some personal issues. I had a couple nightmares, and I linked it to this book. But then when she told me she was, ahead of me, I picked the book up, checked out the audiobook from the library, and finished it the very next night. And that book is Stephen King's Fairy Tale, and I gave it 5 stars. This book is absolutely wonderful. This is about Charlie Reed, and he loses his mom when he's pretty young, and his dad starts drinking, and so he makes a promise to God, Charlie does, that if God will help his dad stop drinking, then he will help somebody. And so that happens, and then Charlie meets Mr. Bowditch, and Mr. Bowditch needs his help. So Charlie helps him, and in turn falls in love with his dog. And so it says Charlie starts doing jobs for Mr. Bowditch and loses his heart to Radar. Then when Bowditch dies, he leaves Charlie a cassette tape telling a story no one would believe. What Bowditch knows and has kept secret all his long life is that inside the shed is a portal to another world. And it is an amazing read. I think Stephen King really outdone himself on this book. It's beautiful, and I just love so many of these characters. And now, it doesn't take the place of it for me. It is like my very favorite Stephen King book, and will always be, because it's just got a special place in my heart. I don't know why. But this is such a good read, and it is such a wonderful fantasy read. And there are some illustrations in here at the beginning of the, I guess you'd call them chapters, sections, whatever. And let me see, not that one. I want to show you the one where it's got the, here we go. So, the dog was my favorite. So, now, anyway, 5 stars. Just absolutely beautiful book. The next book I finished was Waiting for Spring, Volume 3, and this is just a series of graphic novels that follows a baseball team and their friendship with each other and with a young girl who needs some friends, and she works at this, I guess it's a cafe, and she just gets drawn into their friend circle. But this one is about a friend from her past, from elementary school, who comes back, and he just really starts some drama. And yeah, so anyway, I rated this 4 stars, so I'm kind of looking forward to the next one. And the last book I read, remember I told you there was an author you want to see again? The last book I read was Catherine Center's Hello Stranger. I heard so much about this book that I just had to read it, and it had stars on it. So I read this one for the back to school readathon that I didn't finish. I didn't finish the readathon. But this book has all the feels, guys. It's got the sweetness, the cozies, the romance, the tenderness, it does have the the conflict, but they all do. And but she is a painter, and she's going in for this competition and to get this big money, and she has an accident and becomes face blind, and so it is her struggle to learn to paint with this face blindness, and learn how to navigate the world, and then her romance with this guy and another guy, and it is just amazing. So 5 stars. I absolutely love this one. I cried several times, and just love this. And so anyway, that was my last book. I ended up reading 12 books this past month, which I thought was great because I started back to work. And yes, so that is all. I'm so glad you stopped by, and I hope you made it to the end of this video. If you did, leave me a comment. Tell me what you read in August. Tell me what you're currently reading, or just leave me an emoji. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you want to join me, if you want to join this family of friends, just click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.